Tips with Tony. Tips with Tony. All about nutrition from your favorite dietitian. Everything you need to digest in your mind. Tips with Tony. Tips with Tony. Making you healthier one bite at a time. With Tony. Woo.
Hello and welcome to the Tips with Tony podcast. I'm Tony Marinucci, your registered dietitian, helping you get healthy one bite at a time. I'm currently recording this on December 10th. It's actually not that cold out today, but it's 4:42 and it's already dark outside. So staying motivated to exercise in the winter is brutal, okay? And when I say it's not that cold, I think it's like it was 35 and sunny. So it's cold, especially on the days when the sun's not out. It's really, really cold, and it feels like it's dark all the time. So staying motivated in the winter time is really, really, really a challenge. If you didn't listen to episode 206 with Cara Lisi, the social worker that I interviewed, she talked all about seasonal depression and also just, not only do people who struggle with seasonal depression or just our circadian rhythm change during the winter months because of it's always dark outside. But also just like right now, we're still in the middle of this pandemic. And when you combine all of those factors, like it's a lot. It's a lot to take in, and it's challenging to motivate ourselves. And which is why I wanted to talk about how to overcome those barriers, but also to kind of meet them where they're at. And I'm going to elaborate on that a little bit later. So we already know why it's challenging to stay motivated, especially if you're new to exercise, and you're just trying to work out and you're not even in the habit of it yet. It's hard to start. Getting started is probably the hardest part, right? So with the cold, the dark, probably no gym access, or you not wanting to go to the gym because either you have to wear a mask or you don't want to be susceptible to COVID. There's just so many barriers to the pandemic. And then even if you wanted to the pandemic and the winter, and even if you wanted to work out at home, if you have kids at home, if you have to work, sometimes it's harder to motivate yourself because you need that change of scenery. There's just a lot of reasons why it's challenging. So I'm not going to argue, right? And because you're listening to this podcast, it means that you get it. You are probably struggling with motivation, but you're here because you believe that there's a way to regain that momentum and to get motivated again. So kudos to you, because there's always a way. When there's a will, there's a way. And so I'm going to talk about kind of how we can kind of work through those barriers and just get creative during the winter when it is a little bit harder and you do have to be a little bit smarter. I'll give all the credit in the world to those people, and I have some really awesome friends that are runners that literally run rain. If you're a runner and you're listening to this, I know you. Kudos to you. I'm bowing down to you. I think you're incredible. I am not that person. I decided to sign up for a 10K to help motivate me because I actually ran a half marathon 3 or 4 years ago at this point. I think it's 3 or 4. I think it's 3 years ago at this point. I barely ran since then. It was a lot of effort and it was great and it served its purpose. But I'm all right, let me do the 10K and that'll motivate me. But even so, I'm why would I do that? It's so cold, and I don't mind running in the summer. I don't mind running in the fall. I don't mind running in the spring. Of course, it's beautiful in the spring. But in the winter, I'm not that one that's going to get all the equipment, all of that gear, and whatever, just because to me, it's not that much of a priority to me. But for those of you who love it, who do it, that's part of who you are. You are a runner. You identify with that. So good for you. And so I share that to say, those are the types of people who have really just believed they're runners. That's what they do. They run, so they make it work, and it's important to them. So whenever you're feeling you're not feeling motivated, we have to reestablish your why. So that's step number 1. Okay, reestablish your why and assess what's changed, right? If you're comparing yourself to the old you who used to run miles, but it's now winter, you're gonna forever be disappointed because maybe it's just the priorities are kind of shifted, and maybe in the winter you choose to do maybe more strength training. So maybe you just change your method or your mode of working out. But either way, the point is like, why are you doing it? Are you doing it for an aesthetic goal? Are you doing it for your overall health? Are you doing it for stress management? Are you doing it just to get some alone time? Are you doing it because it makes you feel good? It makes you feel confident, makes you feel strong? Why are you doing it? Why is exercise important to you? And then from there, you have to go to step number 2, which is making a realistic plan. So take advantage of the mornings. I know it's hard to wake up when it's maybe before maybe before sunrise, but it's also hard to work out after a long day of work and then it's dark out and you have like almost like you're drained from giving your energy out to everybody all day. So I think a realistic plan, and this is my bias talking, and I believe in individualized care. So if it really works for you to work out at night, all power to you, go for it. I've just been doing this for a really long time, and I've talked to many people, and most people say they're not morning people, but they learn to love the mornings when they recognize, when they say that they're going to do the hardest thing, which often is the workout, first thing in the morning. It changes like so much for them. It helps them be consistent. It feels really good to start their day. It's really, really a great start to the day. So a more realistic plan, honestly, in the winter, believe it or not, actually is to work out in the mornings, because chances are if you're struggling to work out during the day or in the evening, it's because you're too tired. Right? Or you don't feel like it, or things just happen. Things come in the way, and it's really, you're a lot easier to get distracted. You might have a phone call, an extra email, you get stuck on social media, whatever it is. First thing in the morning, please, you should not be on your phone. You should not check social media. You should not check email. First thing you do is wake up. Hopefully you've listened to my other episodes and maybe have established some kind of a morning routine. So you drink some water, maybe some tea, some coffee, maybe meditate, journal, but no big deal if you don't. The fact that you just intentionally move your body, that is going to be really, really great. And it doesn't need to be a killer workout, okay? Be realistic. The other part to creating that realistic plan is consider getting an accountability buddy, but get a reliable accountability buddy, right? Don't just, it's nice. Listen, it's nice to have like friends and family you can just kind of text and just say, all right, guys, I'm doing my workout. Like, I'm going to text you when I'm done, or like they let you know. But sometimes it's helpful to sign up for things. So maybe sign up for a virtual class. If you are going into classes, maybe just signing up and honestly, guys, paying for things, even it's just one of my clients just did, I think it was like $25 for a monthly challenge. For $25, that was enough for her to be like, well, I paid for it, I'm going to do it. And she got the workouts like sent to her. Obviously, like a lot of programs, they might like give you specific days in which you're supposed to do X, Y, and Z, but she knows that in order to, be successful, flexibility needs to be put in place. And so she just kind of took from that to give her some ideas, some inspiration. And it was nice to like just have that accountability. I think she checks in and like reports like how many workouts were done or whatever with the coach that she paid for it, whatever. And that is enough really to help you just to get yourself motivated a little bit. So it doesn't need to be a lot of money, but I do definitely think like even signing up for a class, if you paid like $5 or $10 for a class, like that's going to help you get there. And then other part of creating a realistic plan is definitely maybe consider changing your type of movement. So like I was sharing earlier, maybe try something new. Maybe when you're signing up for that class, you do a dance class. That might be super fun if you like to dance. Maybe instead of trying to get yourself to get motivated to go for a run in the freezing cold and dark, you do a strength training class inside and you try something new. Or maybe you are feeling like strength training is too intimidating, running's too intimidating, but maybe you're like, okay, you know what? I'll go on the bike for a little bit, or I could do yoga, or I can, do some Pilates. Choose the path of least resistance in the beginning. Really, that's all we want to do is just get you the momentum to get you going. And then you could worry about building from there if you want to. If you don't want to, something is better than nothing. In this particular situation, something is better than nothing. Which leads me to number 3, the third step and tip, which is something is better than nothing. And just with that, embrace the change in the seasons. Embrace the fact that maybe, wouldn't it be amazing if we stopped beating ourselves up for not feeling motivated in a season when maybe this is not the time for us to be super motivated. Like maybe this is the time for us to embrace that, you know, it gets darker out earlier. So I know normally I would say like, this might be the time to like just watch some more Hulu and Netflix and whatnot. But like, here's the thing. We've been in COVID forever. I don't even know if there's any other things on Hulu and Netflix, even though as I'm just saying that, I realized that Selena just came on Netflix, like the series. So it's not Selena the movie. It's like a Netflix series of the movie Selena. And I started watching it and it's like pretty good. I mean, I'll always love the original because I just love J-Lo like forever. But so far it's so good. But so anyways, what I was going to say is like, you know, embrace the fact that maybe this is a time that instead of you being sad and beating yourself up about not being motivated to work out, maybe you just embrace that this is the season that maybe you get to know yourself in another way. And maybe you take care of your mental health this season, which it'll be interesting for you to find that chances are incorporating some sort of physical activity will help support your mental health. But there's many other things that you can do to do that. So what I mean is, let's try to be kinder to ourselves, more compassionate to ourselves, and just know that like it's okay to not feel motivated. In fact, motivation always kind of comes and goes. But what's not okay is kind of just like beating yourself up about it and then not doing anything about it, because that's like a really, really unhealthy mindset, and it's just never going to sit right with you. Like you're just never going to feel good. And sometimes we put these very, very large, huge goals when the reality is that right now, maybe in the winter, you just need really, I mean, most of the time, honestly, you just need like little small wins, little small goals. And trust that that's enough. It is enough. I'm telling you that it's enough. All right. So just to recap, if you're struggling to stay motivated this winter, I want you to, 1, reestablish your why. Assess what's changed. Stop comparing yourself to the old you. Like, reestablish, like, why is this important to you? Is it still important to you as it was before? What's important to you? Why? You cannot ask why too many times. Get to the root of the why. Number 2, create that realistic plan. Take advantage of the mornings, get a reliable accountability buddy, maybe change your type of movement, try something new. But be realistic. And also what I didn't say is it helps when you schedule it in your calendar. I will say that it can be really helpful if you schedule it in. And then lastly, 3, something is better than nothing. And embrace the change in seasons, and just know that it's okay that you're not going to go like balls to the walls, like go crazy. Like, you know, you're just like going to move your body when you, cause you know, it makes you feel good. Sometimes you push yourself when you don't want to, and that's the great option. Other times you give yourself a break when you don't want to, and that's a good option. So just know that there's really no right or wrong. All you need to do is really just check in with you and get really, really good at identifying what it is that you need and trying to, you know, stay true to that. Okay? All right, guys, one more time. Reestablish your why, create a realistic plan, and remember that something is better than nothing. Those are the 3 things that you need to do to stay motivated in the winter months. If this was helpful to you, please screenshot it, share it on your story, tag me at tips_with_Tony with an I, or the Tips with Tony podcast. Feel free to share it with a friend. Thank you so much for listening. I'm Tony Marinucci, your registered dietitian, helping you get healthy one bite at a time.